We think that that's one very helpful aspect of business rules. I would rate that pretty highly on the list.
I go back to an old expression that says you get what you measure. They are part of the problem. They're a big part of the problem.
There's no reason why we can't do this. It's not a technical problem. It's an engineering problem, okay?
In the area that they are working in, they are not working alone, but they connect with each other.
The business process is merely a way to evaluate performance of an organization. It's so easy to measure compared to other things that we can look for performance improvements in the area of cost, time, customer satisfaction, compliance. Many things that senior management is concerned with can be tagged against a business process or a set of business processes. So what we find is it's quite often easier to describe to the executives how we can improve a process.
Okay.
But once again, if you don't know what you have, it's going to be hard to make a transition from where you are.
I think one of the things we found in our practice is that it's a means to re-engage and re-empower business people, people who are actually carrying out the business and responsible for the effectiveness of the business. I would rate that pretty highly on the list, is to reintegrate a lot of our IT activities with actual business activities more effectively. There's a lot of implicit knowledge, tacit knowledge that people have in their heads or that they've accumulated from various sources, and they need to make that more explicit so that it can be disseminated, deployed, and reused more effectively. And one way to do that is with business rules.
Well, what's most important about what these people do is, first of all, that in the area that they are working in, they are not working alone, but they connect with each other. And business rules, business process management should all be connected under the umbrella of enterprise architecture, and data, of course, vocabulary should be there as well. And then, why do we need to do that? Now, I want to tell a little bit about my father, who's a building, an architect for buildings. Of course, I talked with him about this analogy that we have with the word architecture that we use. There are also some differences, because, for example, he will not say that he's making a building for change. He tells me that this is completely impossible. If you build a hospital, then you can't just change it to a school. It's a completely different building. You shouldn't do that. You should just collapse the building and make something new. That's the best thing you can do. But you can support the business in different ways. It can be a software system, it can be something else, it can be a machine, or something that helps them. Anyway, in all cases you have this design issue, and you want to find the problems with your design in advance, and not while you are already using it or while you are creating it.
The question is, how do I find the right balance? Right now, there is no balance. They tend to be very short-term oriented, okay? So that's why they have an enterprise. Nobody knows how it works. It's not been described. It's not been engineered to change. Change is very difficult to deal with. It's you have a major consumption of time, resource, disturbance of the enterprise if you want to change anything. So if you really want to accommodate change, well, then you're going to have to make investment in the longer-term architectural kinds of constructs. Your engineering assets of your enterprise so they can be reused in any implementation. That takes engineering. If you only want to engineer one implementation, that's easy. So then you can build one system, but then it won't be reused, integrated, interoperable, reusable, and so on. Who carry the skills to do descriptive kinds of things. They can describe things, they can build models, they can model process or model rules or model whatever it happened to be. Somebody's going to have to get the skills to do that kind of work. So, and every major enterprise already has some of those skills already in that enterprise. So you know, you probably have some capability to begin doing some of this work. You can't do it all at once, so you have to do it little by little over some long period of time and begin to accumulate these architectural representations. And basically, there's no reason why we can't do this. It's not a technical problem, it's an engineering problem, okay? So people have to be, you know, focused on doing this kind of work, and then probably measured on how they do this work. That's probably what's going to have to happen. And then you have to figure out how to do it iteratively and incrementally over some long period of time. It's probably never going to stop. It's not a project. Enterprise architecture is a way of life. It's not a project. Okay, so yeah, and there's not one way to do it. There's n different ways to do it.
I think all of the issues for all of us, my perspective on that is that I go back to an old expression that says you get what you measure. And so despite how logical we might be about the need for change, the need for architecture, the need for rules, the need for process, that's a very logical argument, and it's very hard to disagree with that. But no one cares. And the reason they don't care is they're not measured to care, they're not motivated to care, they have no incentive to care. So at the top of the organization, we might see some good goals, some good objectives, and some good intentions in this. But first of all, those people at the top, they're measured this year, not 5 years, not 10 years, not 20 years, not 30 years. And the people who report to them are, the motivation is divided, is segmented, which it has to be, is segmented into portions of results, not whole results. And the reason I think business processes is so important is business processes give you whole results. But no one has the incentive or the responsibility for the measures that go with that. I think it's real simple. People aren't stupid. They will do what they're measured on doing. Salespeople will sell. Engineering people will engineer. Manufacturing people will manufacture high quality products. But no one has it end to end. And without the motivation, we won't change the behavior. And we can talk all we want about the importance of this and the value of this. But unless we change how we measure people to be responsible for long-term results, we're not going to get any different behavior. I think that the number one thing we have to do is, and the reason I personally believe so much in business processes, is that business processes are a different way to segment the organization. They don't change every time some little pressure comes along. The typical reaction is to reorganize. We just shuffle the deck chairs on the Titanic. They're just different chairs, but the ship is going down. We have to basically change so that people have responsibility for end-to-end result. So when a customer wants something, there's someone responsible for assuring there's a high quality and they get it in a timely fashion, as opposed to someone responsible for taking the order, somebody else responsible for managing the inventory, someone responsible for reducing the cost of inventory, and yet no one responsible for the customer satisfaction because there's a lower cost of inventory. These things are misaligned today. We have to change the measurement system to be process-centric as opposed to just functionally centric.